Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 365. We're going green. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot better this week than I was last week.
Oh, that's good.
Hopefully I didn't leave a little something at your house, though.
I don't think you did. I don't think you did. Because you never had a fever.
I never had it. Well, I did Sunday, but that was 3 days prior to that, and I hadn't had one since.
Yeah. Well, like I said last week, we had Gemma a lot, as opposed to my in-laws who were sick with fevers and sinus stuff. And then Gemma got sick, so we're over at Sean's this week. Did you guys do anything fun this week? It's been an abbreviated week.
Yeah, it feels like we just got together.
We did.
You texted me about getting together tonight, and I'm like, is that tonight? It's way too soon, isn't it? Oh, wait, yeah, that is.
Don't we get together on Thursdays or Wednesdays?
We went and saw Paddington 2.
How is it? Is it worth the 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it was really
Mel
good.
says yes.
Almost as good, if not just as good as the first one. All I know is you can definitely tell that one of them was filmed before Doctor Who, and one of them was filmed after, based on Capaldi's hair. And then Mel and I went out Friday and saw The Commuter, because that's kind of a tradition. It seems like at the beginning of the year, there's always a new Liam Neeson action movie.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Oh,
It was a very satisfying Liam Neeson action movie.
I watched Get Out.
How is that? I haven't seen that one yet.
Really good. Surprisingly good, actually. I highly recommend it.
Because we had the kids over, we were trying to find family-friendly fare. We went up today, we watched Captain Underpants. That is a surprisingly cute movie.
Did you watch anything this week, Glenn?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nope. Just reading, playing some Overwatch, playing some Minecraft. All right. Do we have any feedback?
No feedback. You want to do news, though?
I'm just trying to do things, mix things up, do it a little different. People expect we're going to do news next. I figured if we get the feedback out of the way, because we don't have any, then we go to news and then go right into reviews, right?
Right, but you can send us feedback.
How can they
by
do that?
going to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and fill out the Send Us Feedback tab. Or you can send it directly to feedback@travelingthevortex.com. That's with one L. Also, you can find us on social media.
All right, let's move on to our reviews. No, I'm just kidding. Let's do news.
Some news. Candy Jar Books has announced a new collection of short stories. No, it's not Havoc Files 5.
Aww.
It's Lethbridge Stewart Lineage.
Is it The Lost Skin 3?
No.
Aww.
So Lineage will follow, it's a series of tales about the Lethbridge Stewart family from the early 1600s right up to present day. And it will include three brand new adventures featuring the Brig himself.
I'm pretty jazzed by this, really.
I
think it's like, this is going to be kind of cool.
So we're going to have The Soothsayer by Richard Dinnick, The Bone Merchants by Andrew Allen, As the Sun Falls by Wink Taylor, Paperman by Harry Draper, Draper, Inheritance by Gareth Madgwick, The Final Gift by Andy Frankham-Allen, The Family Business by Chris Lynch, and then a bonus of What's Past as Prologue and the Note.
Very cool.
And you can kind of see the synopsis, all these synopses online and on their Twitter and Facebook.
No offense to everybody else in the collection. I'm really kind of jazzed about Richard Dinnick.
Yeah, me too.
That's like, ooh, cool.
And that's set way back in 1603. Going way back in the family line.
Way back.
Set the Wayback Machine for 300 years ago.
Cool.
That's pretty exciting. So pre-order now so you can make sure you get your copy. I'm looking to see if we have a release date.
We will, of course, be putting that on the schedule and reviewing that later this year.
Yes, we will.
Yes. Not part of any bundle. So pre-order special.
Oh, that reminds me of something that I need to talk to you guys about off mic. Darn it, I was going to talk about it when we got here. I forgot. Very cool. Anything else in the news world?
That's it for news. I mean,
Doctor
it's
Who
only
is
been a
still
couple
not
days.
on.
All right. Well, let's move on to our reviews.
Doctor Order.
Doctor Order.
Hothouse.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Somewhere in the south of England stands the Hothouse, 5 vast state-of-the-art biodomes, all steel and glass. Inside, rock star turned environmental activist
Bono.
Alex Marlowe has a plan to save the world from climate change by any means necessary. There's something growing inside the hothouse, something that could turn back humanity's tide. A voracious alien vegetable called the crinoid. The doctor's going to have to stop it. Stop Marlowe. Stop Marlowe's fanatical acolyte, Lucy Miller. Save the world by any means necessary.
It's a little deceiving. Although that's good. I mean, I'm glad that they teased it that way, especially with where we left the Doctor and Lucy. But
Yeah,
Bum, bum, bum.
yeah, I like this one. It was fun.
I thought you might like this one.
I did too.
And it had crinoids.
Yeah.
And it, like,
And I
completely
had no
reminded me
idea.
of seeds.
I had no idea crinoids were in it.
Yeah, I didn't either until I started listening to it.
Yeah,
One of the things I really appreciate about this one.
Not your father's crinoids either.
Yeah.
definitely not.
Well, we open with, we get the whole rigmarole of the news report, and then we get into the doctor and whatever her name is.
Hazel?
Hazel? No. Is it Hazel? Yes, Bright. Yeah, Hazel. The doctor and Hazel. And, why send for me? Oh, you come highly recommended from Sir Nigel, whatever his name was. And he's like, oh. And I went, why do I know that name from? That's a familiar name to me. Why would I remember this name? But I still didn't cue into it until you get into the meat of it. And all of a sudden it's like, ugh, they're crinoids. Oh, cool. And I love the fact that there's no mystery. There's no rigmarole over are they, aren't they, is it? It's just, yeah, they're crinoids.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is just dealing with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was such a refreshing.
That's the thing right there. It was very refreshing that we didn't have this building a mystery. Is it or is it not? We just got right into the meat of it and then figured out how to solve it.
I think that's
good.
a great benefit to the format of these Eighth Doctor adventures. If it was a 4-part story, we would have spent 2 of the parts, are they, aren't they not crinoids, when we would have figured out long earlier that they were.
And far more terrifying.
I think so, too, yeah.
Listening to the guy
yeah.
in the cage. I can't remember things. I can't do that. I mean, it's more haunting the way that this transformation is described and played out than even the poor guy seeing it visually on the seeds of doom.
Well, even
doom
more
death.
so from the point that we get to see it from that perspective, and then later when Hazel gets infected by it, then you just knowing, oh my gosh, this is so much worse than it could possibly be. It puts in your mind, I remember how it affected this guy. What's going to happen when it affects her? So that was very, very well done.
And then hearing her hold her humanity throughout it all too, and that just adds another layer of horror to the entire aspect of it.
Which I think was interesting because Bono was trying to. That's why he lured the doctor there, because he wanted the doctor to help him figure out how to have the crinoids retain some of that human aspect to it, so that they could, discern. From other species, or discern from other things when it launches into its feeding frenzies, or taking over, or its survival for that matter. So it was really interesting that's what he lured him there for, and ended up kind of in a way indirectly getting what he was looking for as well. Unfortunately, it backfired.
Yes, luckily it backfired.
Yeah, luckily for us and the doctor.
A note to all of you out there that are hoping for an aspiring career in hinching. If you work for somebody who is willing to feed people to the plants and then begins to look around the room for somebody expendable, you're it.
Yeah.
This is not going to end well. I encourage you not to sign on the dotted line for this. I don't care how good the signing bonus is. It's not going to end well, because you are ultimately expendable. Poor Scorby. He figured it out too late, but
yeah. I like the idea behind the.
You're laughing about Scorby, aren't you?
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about it in my head.
I thought you were holding out hope that Scorby survived.
I am.
That's not what it
That'd have been great if they would have had him come up out of the marsh.
Oh, it's totally a thing. He the plants all die off right just before his oxygen supply gets depleted, and he goes off and joins Torchwood. I've already decided this in canon that he's an enforcer for Torchwood 1, and then winds up, he's going to obviously escape Canary Wharf. So I've got a whole series of books planned with Scorby. I got to go talk to the estate people so that find out who's got the rights to him.
I like the fact that they explored the motivation for this ex-Rocks musician wanting to, save the world and save the environment, just in an unfortunate,
at the expense of all humans.
Yeah.
Of all humanity.
It's just kind of taking that green movement to the extreme, and it's always kind of rare to see while the green movement is normally considered positive, it's rare to see it on the other side where it's taken to that extreme, where it's shown in a negative light. And I always
unless you're
appreciate
big industry and you put out stories about Greenpeace and economic terrorism and things like that, but.
Just not very very common in sci-fi.
No, it's not very common. You're right, Dave. It's not very common in sci-fi.
I was quite shocked listening to this that it seemed it was like mind blowing. Crinoids, and then I had to stop for a minute and just go, why has it taken this long for them to show up? Why has the Crinoid not made a return appearance? It's such a great villain because it's a plant, Intelligent plant life. How many jungles have we been? We just talked about this last week. How many jungles have we done on Doctor Who? And none of them are Crinoid infested. That would have been a great story, but doesn't even have to be Earth.
It takes Big Finish to go, hey, what hadn't been used for a while?
Let's drag that out of the closet and use it.
There might be two more before this one, though.
There are two that are they're not Big Finish, but they're whatever BBV Productions audio dramas are. The Root of All Evil and The Green Man. Which at some point in time I'll dig those up. And
are they BBV audio visuals?
BBV Productions.
It says BBV audio dramas.
Audio dramas. Okay, yeah. So it's not the audio visuals, but yeah, it's their audio dramas. Those are unsanctioned, but yeah, they've at least thought of them.
We'll dig that up at some point and do an adversary archive.
That was the thing. I'm listening to this and I thought, oh, there goes our shot for an adversary archive. And I thought, well, surely somebody somewhere has done more. Chronoids that we could kind of put it all together in one.
I don't think so.
Nice
I don't even think they're in a comic book yet.
Well, you found the audio, the BBV audios.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple pros according to the TARDIS wiki. I don't know if they're references or full blown stories.
Well, we'll chart that later.
Yeah.
I was a little worried that the way this one opens with the doctor's rambling about, I don't even really know her. Supposedly I remember her, but I don't.
Right.
And then I kind of realized, because it took me a moment to go on my refresh and go, why does he? Oh, yeah, Orbis. I forgot all about the, because it's been a while since so I was concerned that maybe you guys,
like, it had been a while for him too.
Do I need to send the guys a text and let them know, just remember this is after Orbis?
Yeah, no, I remembered. In fact,
or more importantly, the Morbius bit with falling
when
and
he
dying.
was speaking that, but he had yes, but he had forgotten also because of all those thousands of years that he was on 100.
600 years.
It was 600. Well, nearly 1,000 years. 600 years. 600 years that he was on
thousands of years
that he was on Orbis. He'd forgotten his memory. He had really kind of even distanced himself from humanity, and I think that's still, there's echoes of that here when he's going, I remember humans are so blah blah blah. He's disparaging humans and humanity and their things. And then later, I like the fact that he goes, that's one of the things that I, remember or forgotten about humanity is that they're resilient. He's trying to explain that, you're not going to just be able to do this overnight. They're going to fight back. And you kind of see that little twinkle of admiration again for humanity, which I thought was kind of neat that he brought that back.
Once again, the Eighth Doctor is the paradigm of Amnesia Boy.
Yeah.
Although he didn't seem as amnesic. Is that a word?
Sure.
As amnesic as other instances for me. It seems at least he has more capacity, more of his mental capacity than I always considered like some of the novels having.
Yeah, I like the fact that he acts like he doesn't remember her very well. In fact, that was the thing when we go into this, and I think, oh wow, he's really playing this whole thing off like they must have after Orbis they really did part ways and weren't going to have anything to do with each other. And so then I thought, well, it's got to be less than a coincidence that she showed up here. But I thought, well, it's just a clever way for them to bring them back together, only to find out that obviously she was his plant within the spoilers because they
pun intended.
Yeah, inside. So the having her on the inside, and then really kind of, this story, I thought, kind of redevelops the relationship.
It does.
And it does it in such a nice, slow-paced way that I think it works really well.
It rebuilds the trust on both
It does,
sides.
right up to the end, to her having that quasi-spat with him about, well, what's next? Well, you're going to go and get in your TARDIS and go off now. And he says, well, yeah, do you want to go with me? I mean, it's like, and she almost has to lay it out to him that, yes, she does, because she's trying to infer the inferences of,
Yeah.
And he says, you're going to have to help me here because I've been away from humanity for so long. What are you trying to infer here? So I thought that was kind of clever.
That was.
And by the end, you really kind of feel like they're back together again, as companion and doctor.
Oh, yeah.
And not remembering if he knows how to drive.
Yes. That was a neat little funny moment, too, to kind of lighten the mood as well.
So have you not met your third self? Yes, you can drive. You can drive just about everything.
Yeah, but after thousands of, 600 years.
Oh, at that point, it might have been 1,000 years.
Okay, Scotty, we get it. You're multiplying by 4. I really had to break down after my first listen, did I like this because it was a good story? Or did I like this because it was a callback to a Tom Baker monster that I'm fond of? One of my favorite episodes. And I struggled with that for a little bit because, you know me, it's easy to get lost in the squee and the fanboy.
And the rose-colored glasses.
And my very, very rose-colored glasses. And as a reviewer, I just decided I don't care.
I think it's a good story.
I think it is, too.
regardless, because I don't hold the Crinoids as high as a level as you do, and I really enjoyed the story too. So some of that is just Paul McGann.
A lot of it's Paul McGann.
He makes most of the Divergent universe worth listening to.
Makes it bearable anyway.
Yeah,
Of course, who wrote it?
I don't know who did write it.
Jonathan Morris.
Oh well, of course I liked it then.
So there's an added, yeah.
Cool. Well, should we move on to the comics then?
Yeah.
Let's do that because I'm dying to talk about these.
2 staggering adventures see the Doctor and his companions facing psyche-shattering conspiracies and ancient secrets. First, the Doctor goes undercover at a prisoner rehabilitation facility held within a collapsing singularity. Meanwhile, Captain Jack has left the TARDIS, and when the object of an assassination he was supposedly responsible for turns up alive and well, Jack must delve deep into a past he would rather leave behind.
Bum, bum, bum!
I liked the second half of this grouping. I loved the second half of this grouping. I liked the first half of this grouping. I just thought it felt a little reckless and out of the Ninth Doctor's character to get so involved in. I know that the plan was logical and how he had to get in there to uncover what was going on, but when it comes about of what it is, and he kind of implies that he suspected what was going on, although didn't know exactly, it felt like it was a little reckless that he would get in there and let them take those memories and that are his dark side, which we, obviously has been an issue for the Doctor many times over, but
Especially this Doctor.
yeah, to take those issues and put them in something that could be quite dangerous, especially, I mean, it's almost like those, could anybody else have done it but the Doctor? No, probably not. But should somebody else have done it besides the Doctor? Yes, probably so. And so I think that's where I fell down on that. I found it very hard to believe that the Doctor would get himself into a situation where he did, even though he was able to rectify the situation and save the day in the end. It just seemed a little too hard for me to swallow. But overall, I thought it was an interesting concept.
But for any Doctor to have gone through this situation, I think 9 is the most apt.
Well, probably
to
so.
pull that
yeah.
anger and all those negative emotions out of himself. That's the Doctor to have it done to.
Probably so.
I agree with you. In fact, that's the one thing that I can pull out of it and go, because it does not seem terribly plausible that he, I mean, ultimately, if the 3 of them had walked in with the psychic paper and gone, we're inspectors,
They could have achieved the same
you
thing.
really could
Show
have
us
achieved
what
the
you're
same
doing.
thing without having that. Now, obviously, we need the drama. We got to have this mad chase with the monster and whatnot. But
And that great cliffhanger previously of you killed your companion.
And that's what it kind of feels like, is like, well, let's set up this great cliffhanger for this previous story and then get somewhere there. And I think they had this mapped out. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they wrote
Especially
themselves into a, hey, clever cliffhanger, how do we get out of this? I think that it's obviously done ahead of time, but it really kind of feels like, for the sake of that cliffhanger, they did this story.
right.
A little bit. If it weren't for the dropped little nugget later on of how this story ties into the finale, I would feel that same way.
Yeah.
And did while reading it, but then once I got to that point, I was like, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes a bit more sense.
Well, and it very much, I think it has to, based on the, we're dealing with memories, which has kind of been the Ninth Doctor's thing from issue 1, that he's putting everything up for sale.
Yeah.
And like the other strands have had that reoccurring, musical notes or whatever the recurring theme is. It's a repeating meme.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very meme-like.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's very meme-like.
That this is his. So when they were talking about, we were going to dump your memories and everything, I was like, oh, this is part of the, okay. It's not a standalone. It's part of the overall, maybe not an arc story per se.
No, but a thread.
The theme.
A thread, yeah.
The theme. There you go.
The
Theme.
season's theme.
The season's theme. So, I agree with you. That was the one weak link for me. Everything else, I in particular, I thought the artwork. I know you don't like to talk about the artwork, but I thought the artwork was really good and really strong on these. Even the monster, how they somehow made him look like if
The Jekyll version of...
yeah, I mean, if Christopher Eccleston had starred as the Abomination in Incredible Hulk, this is what it would have looked
go
like.
with Jekyll from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too.
Because that's kind of what he more looks like, is that...
Yeah.
Except for other personas are
Sticking out of his face.
jutting out of his chest every
That
once in a
part
while.
I found a little
Yeah, I
disturbing.
did too.
A little bit too over the top there
Yeah.
for me, but I guess it kind of makes sense.
When you're conveying through a visual means something that may not come across, you kind of go to that absolute extreme, but I thought it was a little much for me.
Oh, and it was a nice... It seems like the comics, every chance they get, they throw in old faces just for fan service. And that's what that felt like more than anything else.
Yeah.
Was just... normally I appreciate fan service. This I felt was unnecessary.
I did think that choosing the doctors that they did to represent the anger, Second Doctor, Eighth Doctor, Seventh Doctor,
Fifth Doctor.
Fifth Doctor, I thought that was appropriate. I think if you had put, maybe even Pertwee probably could have worked. I think if you put Tom or William's face in there, that would have been a little much, because while I think they had darker moments, I don't think overall they were what you personify as the Dark Doctors, are the ones having kind of a dark edge to them, or potentially. I mean, obviously Sylvester or Seven is way up there. You could do it with the Eighth Doctor as well, because that's a previous incarnation.
See, that's interesting, because I don't see 5 as being a part of that at all.
Five, I think, is the only one out of place, but I can see 5 having more of that. So, I mean, he's the one that dealt with the first death in a long time with Adric and things like that. So,
the comment that she makes about Hesgard was previously a storm cage, a maximum security facility. And we know this is set in the distant future. Are we thinking this is the storm cage?
I believe so.
Or is this just that this is a whole line of prisons
I
out
wondered
there?
about that, but because you said it was a storm cage, I don't think it was the storm cage.
Oh, okay.
I did. If they had dropped the reference a little more direct to this being storm cage, I would have gone that way. But saying this was a storm cage gave me the impression that there's a network of prisons out there that are storm cage. I don't know. That's just the way I walked away from it. I knew it was definitely a link, definitely a reference. But
Yeah,
I don't think it was definitely the storm cage.
I like the idea of the prison, though, of where it's situated in the middle of that storm, and trying to get, even if people could try to escape, they wouldn't be able to because they're trapped because of this storm.
It reminded me of Alcatraz.
Yeah. Pretty much space
Or as Rose
Alcatraz.
says, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool too. Very good. Well, the second part of this, I think, was well worth the payoff. Especially, as you said, hearkening all the way back to the very beginning of this. And we're not even talking the beginning of the ongoing. We're talking all the way back to the miniseries when they started the Ninth Doctor's
Right. I thought it was
launch altogether. Yeah, it was clear back to the miniseries. So, yeah, great. It's great to see a lot of Jack's backstory being explored. A lot of the elements of his being a time agent, the reason why it almost lends credence to what he's doing by trying to in Empty Child and Dr. Dance's, why he is delivering this bomb as a money making scheme, basically, because he's kind of a time agent, but he's not a time agent anymore. He's left the time agency, and this kind of fills in those back holes, even including a couple of appearances from Captain
John.
Thank you, Captain John. I couldn't remember his most obvious name in the world, Captain John. A couple of moments of that, right down to the fact that when they're investigating this later with the Snapchat memory thing or the social media memory thing, which I thought was a little weird but kind of cool. Right down to the fact that it's a ploy to get the Doctor there to basically
To sell his memories.
sell what he was putting up for sale a long time ago. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought this tied all of those loose threads together pretty much perfectly.
I think so.
It was a fantastic into the first year.
Well, and as we've always said, we, so excited to get more Jack, and this does it in such a way that we get it, and yet we still are left with those questions that they didn't quite wrap everything up for us. But if
in his mythos,
And
as Keith was saying, for this particular line so far, I thought it did a nice job.
And if this were to be the end of it, and the next immediate adventure would be Boomtown, is that the next one that he comes? Yeah. It fits right in. It flows right back into the main thread narrative, which
especially
is very cool.
since he loses his memories at the end of it anyways.
Right.
So we still have that continuity throughout.
But it didn't feel like a reset. It didn't feel like a cheat.
No,
the way
it
that it was done.
didn't feel
No, it
like
didn't.
they were cheating.
Because it was such a sacrifice and to save the day.
I thought the ending was a little telegraphed with, here's our bidders. Oh, that's gold-plated gold armor, huh? Well, I know where this is going.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that coming?
No, I
There
didn't.
was a Cyberman almost in the room.
Oh,
It was
I
like,
know.
oh.
Well, and in fact, when she grabbed the armor from the Cyberman, I thought, oh, was it her? They grabbed it. Who was it that grabbed it? And
I don't
shoved
remember if
in
it was
the chest plate.
the...
Anyway, when they did it, how did I not see that coming? Duh. And then I did oh gosh, here we go. Allergy to gold again. Thought we did away with this, but that's all right. It
wasn't even the gold dust of the thing. It was just like, here, touch it. Ah!
Well, no, she shoves it up into the chest, which I was okay with because
If you're gonna do gold,
that's what you're
gonna
supposed to
need to do
do.
it.
It's supposed to clog the ventilator system, but at least she went that far with it. But
I just kind of feel like if I run at a Cyberman with a Captain America shield that happens to be made out of gold, I don't feel like I'm going to have that effect on him if I smash him into a wall. But I'll allow it. Okay, so the absolute best and worst. When the Ninth Doctor showed, okay, first of all, we get to the space station in that sequence, and it was like, oh, that's the one from Trial of a Time Lord. Okay, cool. And then the Ninth Doctor the War Doctor shows up on that station, and there was a part of me that's like, oh, sweet. And then there was another part of me that was a little upset because as much as I enjoy the mystery of the Time War, I feel the comics are really taking advantage of let's insert him into every single nook and cranny available. Now, I don't care because I enjoy it, and anything to give me more John Hurt, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. But I was kind of like, oh, it's another War Doctor reference, okay. But then they threw it all out when he gets the great vampires, and I was like, score, don't care.
And that was it. It wasn't more than that.
I know.
That's what was great about it.
it
It was
was
just
cool.
that little nugget, and that's why I'm okay with it. If we were going to start doing a whole line of War Doctor comic books,
I'm ready for it though. I'm ready
Now that
for
we
a
don't-
whole line.
now that we don't have the audios.
Did you see what they did? They
Yes.
name dropped a reference from the War Doctor stories in Big Finish.
They
Oh,
tied
I
it.
hadn't got that.
She's the gal standing there. I don't remember who the actual girl that was the time lady.
Voltrix.
Yeah, Voltric is standing there, and I thought, oh, I really would have liked to have seen
Olestra.
Lester there. And then when he name drops it, I was like, oh my
Cardinal
gosh, they
Olestra
went there.
signed this for you.
They went there. I was
They
like,
tied
this
the
is
two together.
great. So now I'm ready. I'm ready for a whole War Doctor series. Absolutely, bring it on. Let's see more adventures. If they can do it as good as the audios did, and
that's
throw
my-
things in like Great Vampires, absolutely.
That's my concern is because it's audio and you get to visualize it all, it won't let you down. But if they put it on paper,
Yeah, but if you put it on
visually-
paper, then you go the Great
go even
Vampires. That's why it works.
That was such a because we knew the Time Lords were desperate. We've established that we've exhausted every weapon in the arsenal, and apparently one of those was, hey, let's open that dimensional gateway and bring those guys back. They're on our side this time. It's like, what?
I said this before, and I think part of it was when we talked a little bit about the mysterious or the links that the Time Lords went in order to win this war. I like when they reveal these. You just every time you see something or they talk about something, you just go, "Wow!" They just really they did not hold back.
Now every trick in the cabinet.
And the moment was the ultimate one that they had to. They
Yeah.
waited until the very end, but.
that's the kind of fan service I really like.
Yeah, I
Is
agree.
that bit right
Agreed.
here.
Yep, agreed. And like you said, because you don't have to go all out with it, you can just show us a piece of it and go, "There you go."
Yeah,
Well, and then
And you go,
because you don't have to come up with a resolution. You can just give us a great situation and
Exactly.
drop it at that.
that was the thing, is there was a part of me that for my long-winded spiels about I don't want to see the Time War, I don't want to know it's better in my memory because it's never going to live up to it, blah blah blah. They put that panel out there. I was like, damn it, because I'd read this.
That's
I
right.
would
That's
read this. And like you said, Keith, there's no way you could come up with a story that would satisfactorily explain it.
Or resolve it, get
yeah.
them back in the hole somehow.
That-
No way.
So
what if they're destroyed for good though? I mean, I think that
Oh,
could
that
be
the Daleks destroyed the
the
Great
Daleks end
Vampires
up
for good.
figuring a way out to destroy or take them out of existence
too.
by I mean. Yeah. Well, no, you read the Engines of War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So they use that device to take people out of time. So.
Yeah. But just the idea of
we've read or we've listened to the Time War stuff, and then
have.
well, that's just it. And so then all of it's melding together in my head, all the different stories. I was like, oh wait, no, you do know, you have read that one. So.
But just the idea that, with the Time Lords needing great bow ships, the fact that they use bow ship as a title. So now in my head, I've got this. It looks like the First Order Star Destroyer, that big one, but it fires a gigantic cross bolt of wood through space. It's a catapult spaceship. Wow!
I don't think it has to be wood, but
No, it has to be wood.
They're vampires, Glenn.
well, you guys are now you're putting your vampire.
No, because Tom killed the Great Vampire with a spaceship.
right,
so-
exactly.
But just the fact that we're
just has to be a steak,
that we're hurtling gigantic projectiles.
that kind of steak.
Oh,
Not the ribeye, save the bacon. Just that we're hurtling giant projectiles at them.
Yeah.
Would the Daleks figure that out? So now I've got all these questions going, but, because they're so energy weapon based that I don't know that they.
Are you kidding? They've got big protrusions out of the front of them that are pretty much could be projectile weapons if they figured it out. They got a plunger and a whisk for crying out loud, sticking straight out.
switch the plunger out for something else.
Just
and-
put one of those. Just put a large
gonna just
size
lo-
version of those on the front of your ship and run it headlong.
We're just gonna load Skittle Daleks into the photon tubes and shoot them. Be like Drax taking out the
look.
thing.
We found out a good use for these guys.
So yeah, that part was kind of
It's
awesome.
funny that we sat here and we talked probably longer about this one little
It
scene.
was one panel.
Than we have anything about this book.
Well, it was a page. One page. One panel of one page. But
Gosh, it was so good.
it suddenly took what was really forming into a great story and just top
Elevated
shelf. This is, and it redeemed. honestly redeemed the entire Ninth Doctor run for me at this point, because I've kind of been, it's been middling, it's been okay, it's just not been great, and I'm down on Rose, and she finally kind of comes back around and is like, okay, now you're starting to behave like Rose again, and then to get that moment was just kind of like,
I think in the right writer's
right.
hands, Rose is handled well, and I think she's handled well, especially in this one.
yeah,
And Tara has been fantastic through it.
yeah.
Which I was a little worried about, but
Yeah.
it sounds like maybe they've dropped her off, but then again, maybe she could go on with them, so we'll see.
It could go either way.
Depends
go
on the
either
writer.
way.
And the fact that I like how the Cybermen tricked them into letting them on board, because initially they wouldn't, because, you know, a Cyberman is a weapon.
Right.
And so they deliver a Cyberman and convert what's-her-face. And, and it's only halfway, so it's just a fantastic Cyberman aspect of it.
Did you squee just a little bit on
Once the Cyberman jumped out, yeah.
Now, did it telegraph to you and you went, I know what's in the box?
I suspect.
I didn't.
I didn't either.
That one caught me by surprise.
I figured it was a trick or a trap, but I had no idea there was going to be a Cyberman in there. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that there was so much misdirection leading up to the reveals. That it's this person. Oh, it's a Slovene. Oh, because it's first it's Jack.
Well, yeah.
What did you do? And I really panicked when Jack turned the gun on Jack, because this is the gun that removes you from history, and it's like, well, how's that going to work? Oh, teleport. Okay. And the Doctor kept making it seem like, yeah, I'm a whiz with teleports. So I was like, well, did you beam him out or not? But then they were in this other room, and it almost felt like he was snooping to find out where he needed to be so that he could teleport him out.
Yep,
They were pulling a Bill and Ted on the
Right.
on the time logic. And then so she, reveals that, no, you're actually here, and you're actually the one I'm looking for. Jack's just the bait, and blah, blah, blah. And then she starts unzipping her forehead, and I went, oh, come on.
I did too.
There's no way a Slovene
you
came up with
you
this.
think you were disappointed at that point when she started unzipping her head, and I went, no.
But then it was this other chick. I'm like, who the hell are you? I just, okay, what's going on with this? And just, yeah. This was a great story. This was a lot of fun, and it was well thought out, and it was well plotted and well paced, and it really brought year one to a very satisfying conclusion.
I think that the device too of using the little orbs where they could experience different people's memories and scenes to kind of paint some of the path to where we got. I thought that was kind of clever too.
Yeah, very much so.
Cool. Anything else on this set? I'm really kind of excited now for
Let's talk some vampires some more, right?
I'm excited for the 12th Doctor set.
How'd you feel about the hippo?
I knew that was going to cause a problem.
That was my biggest problem with it. I did cringe a bit. You brought it up, and I was going to brush past it, but I cringed.
As soon as I saw that, I thought, Glenn's going to hate that.
I kind of looked at it, too, as a bit of a meta-nod, too, because we have the Jadoon, which are rhinoceroses, and I thought this was them being very coy and clever, saying, oh, there's also hippos out there, So I was able to kind of brush it away, but it was very cringeworthy for me.
It's not like it was an anthropomorphized hippo that was flying a spaceship and talking.
It was.
It was exactly that.
It's a comic book.
I know.
And it had an eye patch.
With a comic book, though,
This was a grizzled hippo.
you have no budget. Your imagination is limitless. You don't have to use I'm going to go off that box. Just launch me
Off that
box.
soapbox.
Off that
Have you
box.
seen the joke about that, where the writers of the comic books are always going, "Oh, there's no budget. I can draw. I can imagine. I can write. Oh, there's a fleet of a zillion spaceships." And meanwhile, the artist is behind him going, "Yeah, do that. A zillion, huh? No budget, huh?"
Anything else on this one? Again, I'm looking forward to finishing out the this year for all the titles too, and getting to Lost Dimension.
It's re-energized me a bit.
Yeah,
Really.
which is funny because it takes this to re-energize me. But then I know that I'm going to come across one and go, that was absolute crap. Why'd they do that? Anyway, I'm excited. All right, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, more of the same. Our show for next week, we're going to have another Big Finish 8th Doctor adventure, Season 3, Number 3, The Beast of Orlok. And then Titan Comics, we're going to go to the 10th Doctor, Year 3. With issue.
I said 12.
You said
but
12.
I knew
what you
meant.
meant.
The reason is because I've already read the 10th set. And yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, and the 12th is coming up on the horizon.
I won't telegraph what I thought, but maybe because I'm excited to keep going, I didn't lose any energy. Okay. We'll just say that.
Well, that's a good sign.
Let's just say that.
So 6, 7, and 8, and number 10, because number 9 is the Lost Dimension episode, and we're going to skip that one. Or as Keith pointed out last week, this is the...
Volume 7,
yeah,
right?
whatever the trade paperback, the most current volume
I put it on
is.
Yeah, the most current volume.
I can't remember what it is.
Is that. So 10th Doctor Comics from Titan next week. And then the following week, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a Moffat retrospective and kind of look back on his 5 seasons of Who and whether or not it was a good thing or not.
You want to go any further than that?
Do you want to go any further? Well, we'll go one more week. Because you probably should start reading if you haven't already. Episode 368 will be our book review of the second in the line. It's the second or the third?
Third book.
Third book in the novella series, The Lethbridge Stewart, Travers and Wells by Robert Mamone.
Life of Evans, Flaming Soldier, Travers and Wells.
And I cannot wait. I haven't started it yet, but I cannot wait.
I'm totally looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to deal with War of the Worlds, which is my thing. It's like a big section of my wheelhouse. I'm very excited.
It's most of your wheelhouse.
And well...
Exciting stuff. So if you want to hear more about this, consider supporting us on Patreon. We continue to utilize those funds to put them right back into the show and keep it going. If you're already supporting us on Patreon, we thank you. There is a link on the right-hand side of our page, travelingthevortex.com, where it'll take you there and it'll help you out. So
I'm going to throw this out there to our listeners too, if you are interested. Just as a just kind of as an aside, obviously we our kind of main in our wheelhouse, kind of our main thing is we're a review podcast that we're going to tackle Doctor Who and review it and tell you about it and things like that. But I am not opposed, and I don't think the guys are either, to tackling discussion topics of just, hey, what did we think of this, and something out of the ordinary. And we've done a few of these kind of stories on there, just kind of peppered them in. Not that I'm running dry of ideas by any stretch of the imagination. I have a very big reservoir of stuff kind of lined up to start talking about. But I'm kind of curious to know what the finger on the pulse, as it were, of the listeners. So is there something out there that you guys think we should be talking about? I'd be kind of curious to know. So drop us a line in feedback. And if you say, hey, I want to know what you guys think of the state of the political affairs in the galaxy during the Draconian Empire. Okay, we can talk about that. Whatever, not that specifically, but maybe that specifically. I don't.
He's writing it down now.
Well, that's,
that was a good one.
Do research on.
That's what I definitely have to do some research on.
But just throw that out there. If there's something that you want to hear us talk about, then let me know. Maybe it'll turn into an episode.
Cool. Well, if that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seen. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.